Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you are doing well wherever you are. This is Liket Obemagwizi. I'm a managing director of Arimathea Studios. Today, I will just want to share with you my journey uh, from the day that I first met Apostle Luther. Today, I'm with him. He's a great mentor. He has been so kind and helpful in my life. So today, I just want to share my journey from the time that I met him. So I grew up in Zimbabwe, did my studies in Zimbabwe. I went to Chegato High School. I was so passionate and I had a lot of zeal. I wanted to do law, right? So I wanted to be a lawyer. So I remember when I finished my upper six, I was so passionate. I was energized. I really wanted to be a lawyer. I remember I came to South Africa during that break when you write your exams waiting for results. So results came. I had good results. I had 12 points and I was saying, you know what, I think it's going to be the high time that I go and do law. So one of my friends, a childhood friend, recommended to me and said, you know what, I found a scholarship in India. So I took that scholarship. I said, no, let me go there, let me go and do law. Unfortunately, my expectations were not as I expected. When you go to India, this is an advice that I'm going to give to anyone who may want to go to India or any country abroad. First, study where you are going. Know the truth of the place that you are going. This is one of the lessons that I learned the hard way, because people market their services out there, right? People market their services out there in a way that sometimes we not realize that you are falling into a path that you may regret later, right? So I went to India excited. We had a full plane of Zimbabwean students who were going to India to study, and it was something that everyone was looking forward. Upon arriving there, we all found out that what we had seen on pictures, videos, on presentation, it was way different from what we saw on the ground. So that was the first disappointment for us, right? Some who made up their mind quickly, they came back to Zimbabwe. As we said, let's give it a chance, let's give it a try. So I think I spent about 2.5 years trying to give it a chance, but to be honest, it was not as expected, right? So I made my way back to Zimbabwe in 2018 December. I remember very well. When I came back, it was like starting life afresh. So I remember I came back in February 2019, came to South Africa. Then I went to my uncle's place in Soshangu, where I was staying there. I think for around 5 to 6 months, I was sleeping in a car outside because he was living in a small room. So we could not manage because he had a family. So he said, you know what, I can only manage to give you this car for you to use as somewhere you can sleep. So I said, no, it's fine. Started looking for work, just like anyone who may come to South Africa. It might not be easy the first months that you come to South Africa. It might not be as easy as most of the people out there may think, right? So months went by, got work at a construction company, started working at the construction company, and for me, honestly, it wasn't something that was that I desire. But because you'll be looking for means to live back home, now they're saying, our big brother is in South Africa, we need to see him providing for us, we need to see him sending money. And now you are seated here in South Africa and there's nothing. And I would love to give an advice to maybe parents who are in Zimbabwe. Maybe you have your child who came to South Africa and probably they've never sent you a rand, they've never sent you any money or any food, any grocery, right? And probably you are still expecting to see them do that. And I would love to say some of our kids, they really want to do that, but circumstances may not permit them. I'm not saying everyone does that. I'm not saying this applies to everyone. Some of the Zimbabwean kids, they come here to South Africa and then now they are living large, they are spending their money, they don't remember home. But most of the people, the first maybe 2 years of coming to South Africa, things may not be as good as you may expect. You have to give a chance to your child. Maybe they came saying, you know what, Mama, I will support you, I will support the family, I will buy grocery. But some of them they will be having that desire. I was once there. You will be having that desire that, you know what, I want to send my mother some groceries. When you see others, going to Bosman station, going to Park station, sending groceries. When you see them, going to the buses with stuff, you'd think one day I need to do this, right? So parents, give your kids, give your children a chance. Give them a chance. Don't over expect when someone says I'm going to South Africa. Honestly, never over expect, right? So going forward, I was staying in Soshanguve, and now I'm having a job. I'm going there to construction site, I'm working there. It was very difficult for me, but as long as it was bringing something on my table, I didn't mind, honestly. So I met one guy who was very, very, very kind, who was very, very good. He was doing his work passionately. His name is Matru, may his soul rest in peace. He passed on a few years back. He's the one who connected me with Apostle Luther. So I took his number. I just said, no, let me take your number. Then I started seeing his statuses. So as time went by, I left that job. I went and I started staying in Pretoria, right? So when I was now staying in Pretoria, I met other good people who took me and who gave me shelter. So lockdown came. When lockdown came, I remember receiving a poster from church saying, you know what, you must start something. Now it's lockdown. You have a lot of time for you to start something. And by that time, the first person who came into my mind, because I was seeing his status, was Apostle Luther. So I approached Apostle Luther and I talked to him. He said, come to my house. And remember, it was level 5 lockdown. Now I had to see how best I could navigate to his place because of everything that was happening around. You can't move and all that. So I made a plan. I said, you know what, I'm going to find a way to his home. Then I went, I met him, he welcomed me very well. His family received me very well, and we talked. He said, you know what, if you really want to learn, because I wanted to learn graphic design, and he said, if you really want to learn, I will give you this chance. I negotiated, let me just pay in installments. And I would want to advise someone today who might have a vision, and probably you want to do something maybe that may cost you a lot of money. Out there, you can harness opportunities through negotiation. You can harness opportunities through negotiating with whosoever has an opportunity. People out there, they are willing to, render services to someone who doesn't complain but negotiate. Apostle Luther, I remember he told me that, for you to learn this skill, you are going to pay this amount of money. I remember I never said, yo, that's a lot of money. I never said that. I said, you know what, Apostle, I want to learn this, but allow me to give you your money in installments, right? So I actually managed to learn graphic design with the little money that I was getting, because by then I remember I was working as a cleaner and I was getting 1.8 rand. And when you get such amount of money, you won't be able to do a lot with that money. But I managed to talk to him, negotiate with him. I think this is one of the most important skill, especially for those who might not be having anything. Maybe you are waiting for an opportunity to come to you. My advice is create an opportunity for yourself. If you don't have money, the little that you have, negotiate with people out there. People want someone who can negotiate, someone who can talk to them well, and you prove to them that, you know what, I can deliver. I remember very well that I had a 2 weeks course. I don't remember the day that I skipped a lesson. I don't remember the day that I came late for lesson. I don't remember. And in life, that's one of the most important skill that you need to have. You need to be disciplined, and you must be a man of his word. You must be a woman of his word. When you promise ABC, deliver ABC. I've seen a lot of my friends, I've seen a lot of people around, they make this mistake that you overpromise. You tell someone, I'm going to do this for you, I'm going to do this for you, but at the end of the day, they fail to fulfill what they promised. This is something that you must learn to do. Learn to fulfill your promise. I fulfilled my promise. I told him, Apostle, you know what? I'm going to be paying you this amount of money. And every day that came when I was supposed to pay, I made sure that I paid that money until I finished my installment, right? So I remember even my first computer, I bought it on installment. And this is one of the most important thing that you need to do for you to achieve. Sometimes take small steps towards your achievement. Take small steps. You want to learn how to do nails, go to that person that teaches how to do nails, negotiate with them, sit down with them, talk to them. I really need to do this. How can you best help me? People are kind out there. There are people who are kind out there. But they need also people who can negotiate, fulfill whatever that they would have promised, right? So I did my 2 weeks course, graphic design. It was very robust. Apostle was very robust when it came to teaching me, and he was ever teaching me even life lessons. That time that I was learning graphic design, thank God he did not even just stick to graphic design. He went as far as spirituality, teaching principles of business, teaching principles, of the spirit. You went an extra mile. He taught me things that helped me in business. That I thank God, 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line, they still help me. And it's very difficult to start, especially when you don't even have a person whom you know that they are going to buy your services. I thank God, from the time that I learned graphic design and Apostle came into my life, I started to learn things from him. My life changed. I started to see myself grow, buy my first computer. Now I was excited, started to look for clients, started to advertise my work, started to implement everything Apostle was teaching me. I now began to expand, and I began to get clients. Things started to open up, doors started to open up. And one thing I would love to tell someone is, if right now in this world, never wait for opportunities to come to you. Create opportunities for yourself. Look for whatever that you can get out there. Look for whatever opportunity that you can get out there. Opportunities will never knock at your door. Go out there, create opportunities for yourself. I started getting clients. People started to trust me with this knowledge that Apostle had impacted on me, how to seal deals with clients, how to get high paying clients. Things started to open up. And years went by. I became independent. I could now afford to take care of myself. I could now afford to take care of my family. I could now afford to send money back home, which is something that I never could afford. So today I would love to encourage someone that you can also do it. You can start, you can do it. You can make life in this world, even out of knowledge that is imparted by someone. You can make it in life. Now I don't remember how many computers I've bought. Some I've given away. Some, I've given other people who wanted to start their own businesses. I don't know now how many skills I have. Every time I meet Apostle, he's teaching me new things. Ali, have you seen this? Have you seen that? Now I've grown. Even my clientele has grown. All because of one person whom I kept in my life, whom I have treasured for years, to say, I will learn this. I'll get advice. A lot of people, they don't want to get advice from people. They think that they know everything, which is very wrong. You need to get advice from people. Whenever you feel like you are down, someone will come and pick you up. Someone will come and say, you can do it. I don't know how many times I have felt like, let me give up. Maybe this month things are not going on well. But Apostle always say, there are seasons in our industry. Things will work out. Let's push. You need that voice that tells you always, let's do it. You can do it. You can do this. So with this, I would love to conclude saying to someone,